The lunchbox cracked against the pavement like a gunshot. 7-year-old Lily Morrison watched her peanut butter sandwich tumble into an oily puddle, her apple rolling toward the storm drain. She reached down with her only hand, her right trying to salvage something before anyone saw. But Preston Whitmore III made sure everyone saw. He held his iPhone high, that smirk cutting across his face like a blade. "Look at the little cripple crawling around like a—" He never finished that sentence. 10 Harley engines thundered to life across the street. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button and stay with the story until the end. Drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from. I want to see how far Lily's story travels. Lily Morrison learned to tie her shoes when she was 5. It took her 3 months. 3 months of loops slipping through fingers that weren't there, of tears she wouldn't let her father see, of starting over and over until her right hand learned to do the work of 2. She never complained, not once. "Daddy, watch." She'd called out that day, her small voice ringing through their tiny apartment. "I did it. I tied it myself." Michael Morrison had dropped to his knees right there in the kitchen, pulled his daughter into his arms, and cried into her hair. She didn't understand why he was crying. She'd just tied her shoes. Now 2 years later, Lily sat on the low brick wall outside Riverside Elementary, waiting for that same father to pick her up. Her backpack rested beside her. Her library book, a story about a girl who could talk to animals, lay open in her lap. The Tuesday afternoon sun pressed down hot and heavy, but Lily didn't mind. She liked the quiet moments between school ending and her father arriving. "Lily." She looked up. "Mrs. Patterson stood in the doorway, phone in hand. "Your dad texted. He's running about 10 minutes late. Car trouble at the shop. You okay waiting out here?" "I'm okay, Mrs. Patterson." "What's that, honey? Speak up." Lily felt her cheeks burn. Why did adults always make her repeat herself? "I'm okay," she said louder. Mrs. Patterson smiled and disappeared back inside. Lily returned to her book, losing herself in a world where being different meant being special, not broken. She didn't notice the black Mercedes G-Wagon pulling into the lot. She didn't see the teenage boy step out his designer sneakers, hitting the pavement with the confidence of someone who'd never heard the word no. She didn't hear him say to his friend, "Tyler, start recording. This is going to be gold." What she noticed was her lunchbox flying off the wall. Lily's head snapped up. A boy stood over her, tall, maybe 16 or 17, with perfectly styled hair and a smile that made her stomach hurt. "Oh, sorry." His voice dripped with fake sweetness. "Did I do that? My bad. Must be hard to hold on to things when you're, He waved his hand vaguely at her left arm, at the sleeve that ended just below her elbow. Lily's throat tightened. She slid off the wall, reaching for her lunchbox with her right hand. Her library book tumbled to the ground. No, let me help you." The boy kicked the lunchbox further away. "Oops. Wow, I'm so clumsy today." A laugh came from behind him. Another boy stood there, younger, holding his phone up. Recording. "Dude, Preston, you're terrible." "What? I'm trying to help. It's not my fault she can't—" He kicked the lunchbox again. It skidded across the hot pavement, popped open, and Lily's sandwich spilled into a puddle of dirty water left from the morning street cleaning. Lily's vision blurred. Don't cry in front of them." "Oh, is the little cripple gonna cry?" Preston crouched down, shoving his phone in her face. "Look at this, everyone. Little Lily's about to lose it because she can't pick up her own lunch. That's so sad. Should we start a GoFundMe? Maybe get her a servant? Leave me alone." The words came out as a whisper. "What was that?" "Sorry, I don't speak pathetic." Buck. Across the street at Miller's gas station, Marcus Steele Rodriguez felt his hands tighten on his motorcycle's handlebars until his knuckles went white. He'd stopped for gas with 9 other members of his Hells Angels chapter. They were coming back from the VA hospital in Jefferson City, where they'd spent the morning visiting wounded veterans, men and women missing limbs, missing eyes, missing pieces of themselves they'd never get back. And now this. "You seeing what I'm seeing," Marcus said quietly. Jake Wrench Morrison, no relation to the little girl, though he'd later wish there was, stood at the pump beside him. He followed Marcus's gaze across the street. "Yeah, I'm seeing it." "How old you think she is?" 7, maybe 8. Marcus watched the teenage boy kick something across the parking lot, watched the little girl's shoulders shake. watched her reach for her belongings with one hand while the boy filmed her like she was entertainment. Steal. That was Tommy Bishop Walsh, the chapter president, walking over from his bike. 63 years old, gray in his beard, and the kind of calm that only came from having seen everything. What's going on? Marcus pointed with his chin. Bishop watched for exactly 10 seconds. Then he pulled out his phone and started recording. Everyone hold position. We're not doing anything yet, but we're documenting everything. Yet. Wrench raised an eyebrow. Yet. One by one, the other members of the chapter noticed. Danny Reaper Chen, Bobby Torch Williams, Frank Knuckles DeLuca. They gathered in a loose semicircle, engines off watching. That kid's got a punchable face, Reaper muttered. We don't punch kids, Bishop said flatly. I know, but if we did, we don't. Preston wasn't done. Lily had managed to gather her sandwich, ruined now, bread soggy with dirty water, and shove it back into her lunchbox. She hugged it to her chest and tried to step around him. He moved with her, blocking her path. Excuse me, Lily whispered. Excuse me, Preston mimicked in a high-pitched voice. Where do you think you're going? I wasn't finished talking to you. Please, I just want to wait for my dad. Your dad? Preston laughed. Oh, you mean the loser mechanic who can't even afford to buy you a real arm, that dad? Lily's head snapped up. Her eyes, wet with unshed tears, suddenly flashed with something else. Don't talk about my daddy. Oh, she speaks Tyler, you getting this. The little cripple has opinions about her deadbeat father. Something inside Lily cracked. She tried to push past Preston using her shoulder, putting all her 7-year-old strength into it. But he was 17. He was twice her size. Physics wasn't on her side. He barely shifted, but she stumbled backward, her lunchbox falling again, and this time her knee hit the pavement hard enough to tear through her jeans and scrape the skin underneath. Blood welled up bright red against her pale skin. Preston laughed. Did you just try to push me? That's adorable. Tyler, tell me you got that. Got it. Perfect. Preston crouched down to Lily's level, his phone inches from her face. You know what your problem is, Lily? You act like the world owes you something just because you're different. But here's the truth. Nobody owes you anything. You're not special. You're just... He paused, making sure the camera caught his words clearly. Defective. Like a broken toy nobody wants. The word hung in the air. Defective. Lily's hand trembled as she pressed it against her bleeding knee. A sob escaped her throat before she could stop it. There it is. Preston stood up, triumphant. Got it. That's the money shot right there. This is going to get 1 million views, easy. Marcus started walking. He didn't run, didn't charge, just walked steady, deliberate, his boots hitting the pavement with the rhythm of a man who'd learned patience in places most people couldn't imagine. Steal. Bishop's voice warning. I'm not going to touch him. Steal. I said I'm not going to touch him. The other bikers followed, spreading out, crossing the street in a formation that wasn't quite threatening, but wasn't quite casual either. 10 men in leather cuts, patches, declaring who they were and what they'd been through. 10 men who'd seen combat, seen death, seen things that would break most people. And one little girl bleeding on the pavement. Preston didn't notice them at first. He was too busy reviewing his footage, laughing with Tyler about which parts would go viral. Bro, when she fell, comedy gold. The crying at the end, chef's kiss. Your dad's gonna be pissed if he finds out. My dad doesn't care what I do. Long as I don't embarrass the family name, I can... Hey! Preston looked up. And up. Marcus Rodriguez stood 6'2", 230 pounds, with arms that told stories of iron and violence and survival. His cut declared him a veteran of 2 tours in Afghanistan. His face declared him not someone to mess with. What do you want? Preston tried to keep his voice steady, but it cracked slightly. This is school property. You can't be here. Looked more like a crime scene to me. I didn't do anything wrong. It's a free country. I can film whoever I want. Marcus didn't respond to that. Instead, he walked past Preston close enough that their shoulders almost touched and knelt down beside Lily. Hey there, sweetheart. His voice transformed completely soft and gentle, like he was talking to a frightened animal. "That's a nasty scrape. You okay?" Lily looked up at him, eyes wide and wet. She saw the leather, the patches, the size of him. Most kids would have been terrified. But Lily saw something else. She saw the way his eyes crinkled when he looked at her. She saw the careful way he kept distance, not touching her without permission. She saw the flag patch on his cut and the veteran rocker beneath it. "I'm okay," she whispered. "I'm used to it." Those 4 words, "I'm used to it." They hit Marcus like a bullet to the chest. Behind him, he heard Wrench's sharp intake of breath, heard Bishop mutter something that sounded like a prayer, but was probably a curse. Heard Reaper say very quietly, "Oh, that tears it. What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lily. Lily Morrison." "That's a beautiful name. I'm Marcus. These are my friends. We were just getting gas across the street when we saw you needed some help." "They were being mean to me." Lily's voice broke. "He called me defective." "I heard." "Is that true? Am I defective?" Marcus felt something in his chest that he hadn't felt in years, not since he'd held his daughter Sarah's hand in the hospital watching the cancer take her inch by inch. "Lily, look at me." She looked. "You are not defective. You are not broken. You are exactly who you're supposed to be. Anyone who tells you different is the one with the problem, not you. You understand me?" Lily's lower lip trembled. "Then why do they say it?" "Because some people are small inside, so small that the only way they can feel big is by making others feel smaller. But that's not about you. That's about them." "Hey!" Preston's voice cut through. He'd recovered his composure, remembered who his father was, remembered that he'd never faced consequences for anything in his life. "You can't just come here and interfere with what?" Bishop stepped forward, positioning himself between Preston and Lily. "With you assaulting a 7-year-old, with you filming a disabled child without consent, with you calling a little girl defective while she bleeds on the ground." "I didn't assault anyone. I barely touched her." "Got it on video that you did." Preston's face paled. "You were recording the whole time." Bishop held up his phone. "See, that's the thing about making content, kid. Someone's always making content about you too. You can't post that. I'll sue you. My dad will." "Your dad will what?" A new voice. The bikers parted and Preston looked past them to see a man striding across the parking lot. Mid-40s, grease-stained coveralls, hands that knew hard work, and a face that had just seen his daughter bleeding on the ground. Michael Morrison didn't walk fast. He didn't run. But something in his stride made everyone take notice. "Daddy!" Lily pushed herself up and ran to him, colliding with his legs, burying her face against his coveralls. "Baby girl, Lily." "What happened? Why are you bleeding?" "Who?" He looked up, saw Preston, saw the phone in his hand, saw Tyler backing away slowly, suddenly realizing that this wasn't funny anymore. "Did you touch my daughter?" Preston's confident smirk returned. Adults were easy. Adults worried about lawsuits and consequences and social propriety. "Relax, man. We were just having a little fun. She fell. It happens." "Fun?" Michael's voice was flat. "You call this fun? Look, I don't know what your daughter told you, but she didn't tell me anything. I watched." Preston blinked. "What?" Michael pulled out his phone. On the screen, the live feed from the school's parking lot camera played. The camera he'd accessed a dozen times to check on Lily when he was running late. The camera that had shown him everything. The school sends parents access to the security feed in case we need to check on our kids. Michael's hand trembled as he held the phone. "I watched you kick her lunchbox. I watched you mock her. I watched you make her fall. I watched you call my daughter defective while she bled." Preston's smirk faltered. "And I watched these men," Michael gestured at the bikers, "walk across the street to help her while you laughed." "Look, Mr. Whatever your name is, this is all a big misunderstanding. I'm Preston Whitmore. My father is Harrison Whitmore Real Estate. We own half this town. I'm sure we can work something out." The silence that followed was heavy. Then Bishop laughed. A short, harsh sound. Did he just try to buy his way out of this? Think he did, Wrench said. That's adorable. Preston's confidence cracked. My father's lawyers will. Your father's lawyers can't unbreak that little girl's spirit. Marcus said quietly, still kneeling beside where Lily had been. He stood slowly unfolding to his full height. Can't unfilm what you filmed. Can't unsay what you said. I didn't. You called her defective. A 7-year-old who's probably had to fight harder to tie her shoes than you've ever had to fight for anything in your entire life. You called her broken while she bleeds, and you think your daddy's money makes that okay. You don't know who you're dealing with. No. Marcus stepped closer and Preston involuntarily stepped back. You don't know who you're dealing with. See, we're the Hells Angels. We've got a reputation. Some of it's earned, some of it's not. But here's what is true. We protect people who can't protect themselves. We show up when nobody else does. And we don't forget. Is that a threat? That's a promise. Mrs. Patterson chose that moment to come outside. Mr. Morrison, I'm so sorry about the delay. I didn't realize. She stopped taking in the scene. The bikers, Preston, the blood on Lily's knee, the phones, the tension. What's going on here? This young man assaulted my daughter. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Preston held up his hands. Nobody assaulted anyone. That's a serious allegation. Mrs. Patterson, Michael said, I have footage from the parking lot camera. It shows everything. Mrs. Patterson's face went pale. Preston Whitmore, I've had complaints about you before. From who? That's not relevant right now. What's relevant is, my father donates $50,000 a year to this school. You really want to make accusations? I don't make accusations. Mrs. Patterson's voice hardened. I report what I see. And I'm seeing a child with a bloody knee, a teenager with a video on his phone, and a lot of witnesses. The principal is going to hear about this. The principal works for the school board. The school board listens to donors. Go ahead, make your report. Preston turned to walk away. Tyler, let's go. We're done here. You're done when we say you're done. It was Lily's voice. Everyone turned. She stood there, her father's hand on her shoulder, blood still wet on her knee, tears still drying on her cheeks. But something had changed. Some switch had flipped. You called me defective, she said. You called my daddy a loser. You tried to make me feel like I'm nothing. Kid, I really don't have time for... But I'm not nothing. My daddy works hard every single day. He takes care of me all by himself since Mommy died. He taught me how to tie my shoes. He taught me how to button my shirts. He taught me that what's missing on the outside doesn't change what's inside. Preston rolled his eyes. Cute speech. Are we done? I'm not done. Lily took a shaky breath. You think you're better than me because you have 2 arms and a fancy car and a rich daddy. But you're not better. You're mean. And being mean doesn't make you strong. It makes you scared. Scared? Preston laughed. Of what? Of being like me. Of being the one people laugh at. Of being small. Lily's voice cracked, but she kept going. I bet you get laughed at all the time, don't you? I bet people make fun of you when you're not looking. I bet that's why you pick on kids who can't fight back. Because the people who can fight back already beat you. The silence was absolute. Preston's face went red, then white, then red again. You don't know anything about me. I know you're alone. Lily said it simply, like she was stating the weather. I can see it. Even with your friend filming everything, even with your fancy clothes, you're alone. Nobody really likes you. They just like what your daddy can give them. Shut up. That's why you're so mean, because you're lonely. I said shut up. Preston lunged forward, and 3 things happened simultaneously. Michael stepped in front of his daughter. Marcus grabbed Preston's shoulder, and Bishop's camera captured everything. Get your hands off me. Preston twisted away from Marcus's grip. That's assault, Tyler. Tell me you got that. I don't... Tyler was backing toward the Mercedes phone lowered for the first time. Preston, man, maybe we should just go. We're not going anywhere until these people are arrested. For what? Bishop asked mildly. Stopping you from attacking a child. I wasn't going to. On camera, it looks like you were. Preston's breathing was ragged. His perfect composure had shattered completely. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. People were supposed to back down when they heard his father's name. Teachers were supposed to look the other way. Kids were supposed to cry and run. This little girl had stood there and taken him apart with words, and these bikers had seen it all, and his social media image was crumbling in real time. My father is going to destroy all of you, he said, his voice shaking. Every single one. He'll shut down your garage. He pointed at Michael. He'll get your little biker gang investigated by the FBI. He pointed at Bishop. And you, he pointed at Lily, and his voice dropped to something ugly, something venomous. You think you're brave. You're nothing. You'll always be nothing. And when my father's done, everyone in this town will know you're nothing. Lily didn't flinch. I'm not nothing. I'm Lily Morrison, and I remember everything you said. So do we, Marcus said. Every word, every action, every kick, every laugh. It's all documented. Documentation means nothing against my father's lawyers. Maybe, Bishop pocketed his phone. Maybe not. But there's something your father's lawyers can't control. What's that? Public opinion. Preston's face went still. What are you going to do? Nothing yet. We're just private citizens who witnessed a disturbing incident and documented it for our own records. What happens next depends entirely on you. On me. You can walk away right now. You can think about what you did. You can decide to be a different kind of person. If you do that, really do that, then this video sits on my phone forever and nobody ever sees it. And if I don't, Bishop smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Then by this time tomorrow, everyone in America is going to know the name Preston Whitmore, and not in the way your daddy wants. Preston stared at him, then at Marcus, then at Michael and Lily. For just a moment, one brief flickering moment, something passed across his face. Something that might have been shame, might have been doubt, might have been the first crack in 17 years of armor. Then it was gone. You'll regret this, he said. All of you. I'll make sure of it. He turned and walked to the Mercedes. Tyler scrambled into the passenger seat. The engine roared to life, and the car peeled out of the parking lot, leaving behind the smell of burnt rubber and broken promises. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Lily tugged on her father's hand. Daddy, can we go home now? My knee hurts. Michael looked down at his daughter, this small, fierce, broken, and unbreakable girl who had just stared down a bully twice her size and felt his heart crack and heal at the same time. Yeah, baby girl, we can go home. He started to lead her toward his truck, then stopped, turned back to the bikers. Thank you for stepping in. You didn't have to. Yeah, Marcus said quietly. We did. Why, you don't even know us. Marcus was quiet for a moment. His eyes drifted to a patch on his cut, a small one near his heart. A patch in the shape of a little girl's hand with the name Sarah embroidered beneath. I had a daughter once. She passed away when she was 6. Cancer. He met Michael's eyes. If she were still here and someone treated her the way that boy treated Lily, I'd hope someone would step in. So we stepped in. It's that simple. Michael's throat tightened. I'm sorry. About your daughter. Me too. Marcus crouched down to Lily's level. Hey Lily, you were really brave just now. What you said to that boy, that took guts. Lily shrugged. I was scared. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing it anyway. You remember that? Okay. She paused. Marcus, are you guys really Hell's Angels? Like from the movies? He laughed a real laugh, warm and surprised. Something like that, but not exactly like the movies. We're more like a family, and we look out for other people who need family. I have family, my daddy. I know you do, and he's a good one. Marcus stood. But sometimes family grows. Sometimes people come into your life when you need them most. You remember us, Lily. If you ever need anything at all, you find a Hell's Angel. We don't forget our people. Am I your people? Marcus looked at her, this 7-year-old girl with one arm and a heart the size of Montana, and felt something he hadn't felt since Sarah died. Hope. Yeah, kid. You're our people now. Michael's truck pulled out of the parking lot. Lily sat in the passenger seat, her ruined lunchbox on her lap, her scraped knee stinging her mind, replaying everything that had happened. Daddy. Yeah, baby girl. Is that boy going to come back? Michael's hands tightened on the steering wheel. I don't know. Is his daddy really going to destroy us? He can try. Are you scared? Michael thought about his bank account barely keeping them afloat. His shop 1 bad month away from closing. The medical bills from Lily's birth still not paid off. The rent due next week. The groceries he'd been putting off. Harrison Whitmore could destroy them without even trying. A phone call to the right person, a word in the right ear. And everything Michael had built would crumble. Yeah, he admitted. I'm scared. Me too. Lily reached over with her right hand and put it on her father's arm. But I'm not as scared as before. Why not? Because those men came. Nobody ever came before. When the kids at school said mean things, the teachers told me to ignore it. When that boy at the park pushed me, his mom said he was just playing. But today those men came. They didn't even know me and they came. Michael blinked back tears. They did. So maybe more people will come. Maybe we're not alone. Michael pulled the truck to the side of the road. He couldn't see through the tears anymore. Baby girl, we were never alone. I'm always here. Always. I know, Daddy, but you can't be everywhere. You can't fight everyone. Today you didn't have to. Someone else fought too. She paused. Is that what family is? People who fight for you, even when they don't have to. Michael pulled her into his arms, careful of her injured knee, careful of everything. Always so careful. Yeah, Lily, that's exactly what family is. Back at the gas station, the Hells Angels finished fueling up, but nobody was in a hurry to leave. That video, Wrench said. We're posting it, right? Bishop looked at the school parking lot, now empty. The kid made a threat, said his daddy was going to destroy that mechanic. So we beat him to it. Maybe. Or maybe we give him a chance to do the right thing. You think he will? Bishop was quiet for a moment. No, I don't. A kid like that, raised like that. He's not going to have some come-to-Jesus moment overnight. He's going to go home and tell his daddy, and his daddy's going to start making calls, and by tomorrow morning that little girl's father is going to be fighting for his livelihood. Then why wait? Because we're not just trying to punish one rich kid. We're trying to protect that little girl. And the best protection isn't revenge. It's making sure the whole world is watching. When we post this video, it needs to be more than just content. It needs to be a statement. It needs to show people what happened and make them care about what happens next. Marcus nodded slowly. So we put together the whole story. The video of what Preston did. The video of him threatening her father. The video of Lily standing up to him. All of it. All of it. With context. With names. With faces. So when Harrison Whitmore tries to bury this, he can't. So when people Google Whitmore real estate, this is what they find. That's going to make enemies. Bishop looked at his brothers, 10 men who'd been through war and loss and everything in between. 10 men who'd learned that the only things worth fighting for were the things you couldn't buy. We've had enemies before. This time at least we're fighting for something worth the trouble. Reaper cracked his knuckles. I'm in. Me too, Wrench said. All of us, Torch added. Marcus was already on his phone pulling up the footage he'd shot. I'll start editing tonight. We'll have it ready by morning. Tomorrow then. Bishop swung his leg over his bike. Tomorrow the whole world meets Lily Morrison. And tomorrow Preston Whitmore finds out what it feels like when someone kicks his world out of his hands. The engines roared to life, 10 Harleys thundering in unison, and the Hells Angels pulled out of the gas station, heading toward a fight they hadn't been looking for, but had found anyway. Behind them, the sun was setting over Riverside Elementary. But for one little girl and her father, something new was rising. Something that felt almost like hope. That night, Preston Whitmore sat in his room scrolling through his footage planning which clips would go viral. He had no idea that across town 10 bikers were doing the same thing. He had no idea that his life was about to change forever. And he had absolutely no idea that a 7-year-old girl with one arm had just started a war that his father's money couldn't win. He would learn. They all would. The video dropped at 6:47 a.m. Bishop had spent half the night editing it with Marcus cutting together every angle, every word, every moment of Lily's humiliation and her impossible courage. They'd debated the caption for an hour before settling on something simple. This is Preston Whitmore III, son of Harrison Whitmore of Whitmore Real Estate. This is how he treats disabled children. This is a 7-year-old girl named Lily. Remember her name. By 7:15 it had 10,000 views. By 8 Sururs it had 100,000. By 9 Ozur, when Preston Whitmore woke up to 17 missed calls from his father, it had crossed 1 million and was climbing faster than anything Bishop had ever posted. Preston grabbed his phone still groggy and answered the 18th call. What? Get downstairs, now! His father's voice was ice. Pure, undiluted ice. Dad, it's early. I was out late and I said now. The line went dead. Preston stumbled out of bed, threw on a shirt, and made his way down the marble staircase of the Whitmore mansion. His father stood in the foyer, phone in hand, face the color of old ash. Dad, what's going on? Harrison Whitmore held up his phone. On the screen, Preston saw himself, saw the parking lot, saw a little girl crying, saw the word defective leave his own mouth in crystal clear audio. Oh, Preston's stomach dropped. That. Harrison's voice cracked like a whip. Do you have any idea what you've done? It was just a joke. She's nobody. Her dad's a mechanic who... Her dad is irrelevant. Those bikers aren't. This video has been shared by 3 major news outlets in the last hour. My phone hasn't stopped ringing. The board wants an emergency meeting. Our stock dropped 4% at market open. Stock, Dad. It's a video of me messing with some kid. People do that all the time. People don't do it while announcing their name and their father's company. People don't do it while being filmed by Hell's Angels. People don't do it to a 7-year-old girl missing an arm. Harrison grabbed Preston by the collar, something he'd never done before. You said your name. You said my name. You connected this family to the image of a crying disabled child, and you did it on camera. I didn't know they were filming. You were filming. You were making content out of her pain, and you didn't think someone might make content out of yours. Preston had no answer for that. Harrison released him, straightening his jacket with shaking hands. We're going to fix this. We're going to get ahead of it. But first you're going to tell me everything that happened. Every word. Every action. Everything those bikers said. They threatened me. They threatened you, how? The big one, Marcus. Something he said they protect people who can't protect themselves. Said they don't forget. The old one with the beard. He said if I didn't change, he'd make sure everyone in America knew my name. What else? Preston hesitated. The girl, Lily, she said some things. What things? She said I was alone, that nobody really likes me, that people just like what you can give them. Preston's voice dropped. She said I was scared. Harrison stared at his son for a long moment. Something flickered in his eyes. Was it recognition? Shame. It was gone before Preston could identify it. Get dressed. We have a press conference in 2 hours. You're going to apologize. You're going to look remorseful, and you're going to pray that's enough to stop the bleeding. Apologize to who? To everyone. To the girl, to her father, to every disabled person in America who's watching that video right now and seeing their own worst memories. But I didn't do anything wrong. I was just... Preston. Harrison's voice was quiet now, which was somehow worse than the shouting. I've protected you from consequences your entire life. Every teacher you insulted, every classmate you hurt, every incident that should have taught you something, I made it go away. That was my mistake. I see that now. Dad, but I can't make this go away. This is too big, too public. The only path forward is through and through means you admit what you did and beg forgiveness. Harrison headed for the door. 2 hours. Be ready. He left Preston standing alone in the foyer, the sound of his own voice still playing on repeat somewhere in the distance, calling a little girl defective while the whole world watched. Michael Morrison's phone started ringing at 6:52 a.m. He'd been awake for hours, sitting at Lily's bedside, watching her sleep. Her knee was bandaged now, properly cleaned and wrapped, but she'd had nightmares all night, crying out, thrashing once, screaming the word defective so loudly that Michael had to hold her until she stopped shaking. He hadn't slept, couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that boy's face, heard that boy's voice, felt the helpless rage of watching his daughter be torn apart while he was stuck in traffic 4 blocks away. The first call was from his sister in Ohio. "Michael, are you okay? Is Lily okay? I just saw..." "Saw what?" "The video. It's everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, the news. Everyone's sharing it." Michael's blood went cold. "What video?" "Of Lily. Of what that boy did to her. And what she said back." His sister's voice cracked. "Michael, she was so brave. I can't believe how brave she was." Michael hung up and grabbed his laptop. 3 minutes later, he understood. The video had everything. The kicks, the mocking, the word defective. And then God, and then his little girl standing up and telling a bully twice her size that he was the scared one. That he was alone. That being mean didn't make him strong. The comments were a flood. "That little girl is my hero. Whitmore Real Estate, never buying from them. Someone start a GoFundMe for this family. Those bikers are legends. Preston Whitmore needs to be in jail. I'm crying. I'm literally crying. That child has more courage than most adults." Michael scrolled and scrolled, watching the view count climb, watching his daughter's worst moment become the whole world's business. He should have been angry, violated, protective, but what he felt was something else entirely. He felt seen. For 5 years since his wife had died, he'd been fighting alone. Fighting to keep the shop open. Fighting to raise Lily right. Fighting against a world that seemed determined to make everything harder than it needed to be. And now, for the first time, he wasn't alone. Strangers across the country were watching his daughter and saying she mattered. That what happened to her was wrong. That someone should do something. Someone had done something. 10 someones in leather cuts and motorcycle boots had crossed a parking lot and changed everything. "Daddy." Michael turned. Lily stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes, her bandaged knee visible beneath her nightgown. "Hey, baby girl, how's your knee?" "It hurts a little. What are you watching?" Michael closed the laptop. "Nothing important. You hungry?" "Daddy." Lily's voice was firm, 7 going on 40. "You're crying. What are you watching?" He couldn't lie to her. He'd never been able to lie to her. The video, from yesterday, someone posted it online. The bikers. "I think so, yeah." Lily walked over, climbed onto the couch beside him, and opened the laptop herself. Michael tried to stop her, but she was already watching her face unreadable as she saw herself on screen. Being kicked, being mocked, falling, bleeding, crying, and then standing up. When the video ended, Lily was quiet for a long moment. "That's a lot of people watching." "Yeah, baby, it is." "Are they mad at me?" "No." Michael pulled her close. "They're proud of you. They think you were brave." "I didn't feel brave. I felt scared." "That's what brave is. Being scared and doing it anyway." Lily looked up at him. "That's what Marcus said." "Then Marcus is a smart man." Can we say thank you?" Michael looked at the video again at the Hells Angels logo clearly visible on Marcus's cut. "I don't know how to reach him, baby, but I have a feeling we'll see him again." He had no idea how right he was. The press conference was a disaster. Harrison Whitmore had hired the best PR team money could buy. They'd written a statement. They'd coached Preston on body language. They'd prepared for every possible question. They hadn't prepared for Preston to go off script. "Preston, Do you have anything to say to Lily Morrison and her family? Preston stood at the podium, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward, his father watching from the side with barely concealed anxiety. "I'm sorry," Preston said, reading from the prepared statement. "My behavior was inexcusable. I deeply regret any pain I caused, and I'm committed to learning from this experience and becoming a better—" "Do you actually believe that?" a reporter shouted. "Or are you just reading what your father's people wrote?" Preston's jaw tightened. The script called for him to ignore hostile questions, to stay on message, to look remorseful and humble and changed. But Preston Whitmore had never been ignored in his life. "What do you want me to say, that I'm some kind of monster? I made a mistake. Kids make mistakes." "You're 17. You called a 7-year-old disabled girl defective. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Look, I didn't know anyone was watching, okay? If you'd known, you wouldn't have done it, so the problem isn't what you did. The problem is that you got caught." Preston's face went red. "That's not what I meant." "What did you mean?" "I meant—" He looked at his father. Harrison's expression was stone. No help there. "I meant that it's been blown out of proportion. It was a joke, a stupid joke. People are acting like I committed a crime. Under Missouri law, what you did could actually be considered criminal harassment of a minor. Did you know that child—" Preston's lawyer stepped forward. "We're not going to comment on potential legal matters. Preston has expressed his remorse, and has he? Because it sounds like he's making excuses." Another reporter jumped in. "Preston, the video shows you threatening the bikers, saying your father would destroy them. Do you stand by that?" "I was upset. They were in my face. I said things I didn't mean. And when you called Lily Morrison defective, did you mean that—" The room went quiet. Every camera focused on Preston's face. Every microphone waited for his answer. Preston swallowed. "No, I didn't mean it. It was just words. Just words. You're aware that girl has heard those words her entire life, that every disabled child watching this has heard some version of those words, and you call them just words. I can't be responsible for how everyone interprets—" "Preston." Harrison's voice cut through sharp and final. "That's enough. Press conference is over." But the damage was done. Clips of Preston saying just words and blown out of proportion were already spreading. The apology had become an accelerant pouring gasoline on a fire that was already burning out of control. By noon, Whitmore real estate stock had dropped 12%. By evening, 3 major clients had pulled their contracts. And by midnight, Harrison Whitmore was sitting in his home office, staring at a phone number he never thought he'd have to call. The number belonged to Michael Morrison. "Mr. Morrison, this is Harrison Whitmore." Silence on the line. Then, "I know who you are." "I imagine you do. I'm calling to discuss a resolution to this unfortunate situation." "Unfortunate situation. Your son assaulted my daughter." Assault is a strong word. There was no physical contact. He kicked her belongings. He blocked her path. She fell and scraped her knee badly enough to need bandages. That's assault. "Mr. Morrison, I'm not calling to argue legal definitions. I'm calling to make this go away. Go away. I'm prepared to offer you $200,000. Cash. Untraceable. In exchange, you issue a statement saying this was a misunderstanding, that Lily and Preston have reconciled, that you don't want any further attention." Michael laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. "You're trying to buy my daughter's dignity. I'm trying to end this before it destroys both our families. My family isn't being destroyed. My family is being supported by people all over the country who saw what your son did and said, that's wrong. The only family being destroyed is yours. $200,000 is a lot of money, Mr. Morrison. I know your shop is struggling. I know you're behind on your lease. I know medical bills from your daughter's birth are still— How do you know that? Silence. Have you been investigating me? I like to understand the full picture before entering negotiations. This isn't a negotiation. This is you trying to intimidate me into selling out my daughter. I'm offering you a way out, a better life for Lily. Think about what you could do with $200,000. College fund, better apartment, Maybe even a prosthetic arm if she wants one. All you have to do is say the words. Michael's grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles went white. Mr. Whitmore, let me tell you something about my daughter. She's 7 years old. She was born with one arm. Her mother died 3 years ago. She's been bullied, mocked, called names, treated like she's less than human her entire life. And through all of that, she has never not once asked me to make it easier by compromising who she is. This isn't about compromise. This is about pragmatism. Yesterday, your son called her defective. He tried to break her spirit, and you know what she did. She stood up and told him the truth about himself. She was braver than anyone I've ever seen, including men twice her size. Michael's voice cracked. And you want me to tell the world that didn't happen? That it was a misunderstanding? That my daughter's courage was just a mistake to be erased with money? 300,000. Excuse me. 300,000. Final offer. Michael took a deep breath, let it out slowly. Mr. Whitmore, I work 60 hours a week. I'm 3 months behind on rent. I eat 1 meal a day so my daughter can have 3. And I would rather lose everything I have than teach her that pain can be bought and sold. You're making a mistake. No, I'm making a choice. The same choice she made when she stood up to your son. We don't bend. We don't break. We don't sell. Then you'll regret this. I have resources you can't imagine. Yeah, your son said the same thing, right before 10 Hell's Angels watched him run away. Michael hung up. His hands were shaking. $300,000. $300,000 could have changed his life. Could have given Lily everything, and he'd turned it down. He must be insane. Daddy? He spun around. Lily stood in the hallway, her stuffed elephant clutched to her chest. How much did you hear? All of it. She walked over, climbed into his lap. Was that the mean boy's daddy? Yeah. He wanted to give us money. Yeah. Why didn't you take it? Michael looked at his daughter, this fierce, tiny, unbreakable girl, and felt tears well up again. Because some things aren't for sale, baby. Your courage, your story, your truth, those belong to you. Nobody gets to buy them away. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then, Daddy, are we going to be okay? I don't know, baby. I really don't know. Are we going to be together? Always, no matter what. Then we'll be okay. Lily hugged him tight. You said family is people who fight for you even when they don't have to. Maybe more people will fight for us. Maybe. Michael held his daughter in the dark apartment, the glow of his phone showing messages he hadn't read yet, voicemails he hadn't heard, a world of strangers who were about to become allies. He didn't know that Marcus Rodriguez was already planning their next move. He didn't know that Bishop was making calls to lawyers who worked pro bono for cases exactly like this. He didn't know that the Hells Angels had decided unanimously that Lily Morrison was their responsibility now. He didn't know that Harrison Whitmore, furious at being rejected, was already making calls of his own calls that would cost Michael his biggest client by morning, his shop's lease by the end of the week, and very nearly his faith in humanity. But Michael Morrison had something Harrison Whitmore would never understand. He had a daughter who'd rather starve than surrender, and that made them richer than the Whitmores would ever be. The next morning, Michael arrived at his shop to find a notice on the door. Lease terminated effective immediately. Property must be vacated within 30 days. He stared at the paper, his heart sinking. Then his phone rang. Mr. Morrison, this is Jefferson City Automotive. We regret to inform you that we'll be ending our parts contract effective today. Before he could respond, another call came in. Michael, it's Dave at the bank. I need you to come in. There's some irregularities with your loan we need to discuss. By noon, Michael had lost his lease, his biggest contract, and his line of credit. Harrison Whitmore worked fast. Michael sat in his empty shop, head in his hands, trying to figure out how he would tell Lily, how he would explain that standing up for her had cost them everything. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Don't give up. Help is coming. M. Michael frowned. M. Marcus. Before he could respond, he heard the rumble. Low at first, then louder. Engines. A lot of them. He walked to the door and looked outside. 10 motorcycles pulled into his parking lot. 10 bikers dismounted. And leading them with a folder in his hand and a purpose in his stride was Marcus Rodriguez. "Mr. Morrison, heard you were having a rough morning." "How did you know?" "Harrison Whitmore isn't the only one with resources." Marcus held up the folder. "We've got some people who want to help. A lawyer who thinks your case is a winner. A mechanic who needs a partner. And about 10,000 people online who've been asking where they can send donations." Michael's throat tightened. "I didn't ask for charity. It's not charity. It's community." Marcus extended his hand. "You stood up for your daughter. Now we stand up for you. That's how this works." Michael looked at the hand, looked at the bikers behind Marcus, looked at his condemned shop, his dying dream, his impossible situation. Then he shook Marcus's hand. "Okay, what's the plan?" Marcus smiled. "First we save your shop, then we sue Harrison Whitmore for everything he's got. He'll fight back. Good. We've been looking for a good fight." Behind them, engines idled. Above them, clouds parted. And somewhere in a mansion across town, Harrison Whitmore was about to learn that money couldn't buy everything. Some things had to be earned, and some people refused to be bought. The lawyer's name was Catherine Webb, 62 years old, silver hair, and a reputation that made corporate attorneys lose sleep. She'd spent 30 years taking down billionaires who thought they were untouchable, and she'd won more cases than most lawyers would see in 3 lifetimes. She was also working for free. "Mr. Morrison, let me be clear about something." Catherine sat across from Michael in the back room of his condemned shop, her briefcase open documents spread across the table. "Harrison Whitmore has destroyed better men than you. He has an army of lawyers, unlimited resources, and absolutely no conscience. This fight will be ugly." "I understand." "Do you? Because ugly means they'll dig up everything. Your finances, your marriage, your wife's death, how you're raising Lily. They'll find every mistake you've ever made and put it on display." Michael's jaw tightened. "I've got nothing to hide." "Everyone has something to hide. The question is whether you can survive having it exposed." Catherine leaned forward. "I need to know right now, is there anything that could hurt Lily? Anything?" "Whitmore's people could twist to make you look like an unfit father." "No, never." "What about your finances? The shop?" "I'm behind on payments. Everyone knows that." "Behind how much?" 18,000, plus the lease they just pulled." Catherine nodded slowly. "That's manageable. What else?" "Nothing else. I work. I take care of my daughter. That's my whole life." "What about the mother? Any family on her side who might testify against you?" Michael hesitated. Catherine caught it immediately. "What? Sarah's parents, they didn't approve of me, said I wasn't good enough for her. When she died, they wanted custody of Lily." "Did they pursue it legally?" "They tried. Judge ruled in my favor, but they've been angry ever since." "Would they lie to hurt you?" Michael thought about his father-in-law's face at the custody hearing, the hatred in his eyes, the promise he'd made on the courthouse steps. "Yeah, they might." Catherine wrote something in her notepad. "I'll need their names. We'll prepare for that angle." She looked up. "Now, let's talk about what we can do to them. To the Whitmores. Harrison Whitmore committed economic retaliation against you for refusing his bribe. He terminated your lease through a subsidiary he controls. He pressured your bank to call in your loan. He had your biggest client drop you within hours of your phone conversation." Catherine smiled, and it wasn't friendly. "That's not just immoral, that's illegal. Can you prove it?" "I can prove the connections. The timing does the rest." She pulled out a document. "But here's what makes this case special. Preston's assault on Lily isn't just a civil matter. Under Missouri law, what he did constitutes harassment of a minor with additional penalties for targeting a disabled child. Criminal charges. Potentially. The DA's office has been getting calls all week. Public pressure is mounting. If we file our civil suit and they file criminal charges simultaneously, Harrison Whitmore will be fighting on two fronts. Marcus spoke up from his position by the door. What about the school Preston's still enrolled? Other kids are at risk. The school board meets tomorrow night, emergency session. Catherine gathered her papers. I'd recommend you attend Mr. Morrison. Bring Lily if she's willing. Let them see who they're protecting. I don't want to put her through more trauma. I understand, but sometimes trauma has to be witnessed before it can be addressed. Catherine stood. Think about it. Call me tonight either way. She shook Michael's hand and headed for the door. Then she paused. Mr. Morrison, one more thing. Yeah. Your daughter stood up to a bully twice her size and told him the truth about himself. That takes a special kind of courage. Catherine's voice softened. Whatever happens in court, you've already won the only battle that matters. You raised a fighter. She left. Michael sat in the silence, Marcus still standing by the door. She's right, you know. Marcus walked over, sat down across from Michael. Lily's something special. I've seen grown men who couldn't do what she did. She shouldn't have had to do it at all. No, she shouldn't have. But she did, and now the whole world knows her name. Marcus leaned back. The school board meeting tomorrow, I think you should go. I think you should bring Lily, and I think you should let her speak. She's 7. She's 7 and she already changed the national conversation about bullying. Imagine what she could do to a room full of school board members. Michael shook his head. I can't ask her to do that. Then don't ask her. Tell her about the meeting. Tell her what's at stake, and let her decide. Marcus stood. That's what you've been doing all along, isn't it? Letting her decide who she wants to be. I'm her father. I'm supposed to protect her. You are protecting her. You're protecting her right to be brave. Marcus headed for the door. Call me after you talk to her. Either way, we'll be there tomorrow night. Michael sat alone in his dying shop, surrounded by tools he might never use again, thinking about a 7-year-old girl who'd already fought harder battles than he'd ever imagined. Then he went home to ask his daughter if she wanted to fight one more. Lily listened to everything. The school board meeting. The possibility of Preston being expelled. The chance to tell her story to the people who could make a difference. When Michael finished explaining, she was quiet for a long moment. Will Preston be there? I don't know. Maybe. Will his daddy? Probably. Lily nodded, slowly processing. And if I talk, they might make sure he can't hurt other kids. That's what we're hoping, baby. But you don't have to do this. Nobody would blame you if you just wanted to stay home. Daddy. Yeah. You remember what Marcus said about being scared and doing it anyway? I remember. Lily took a deep breath. I'm really scared. My tummy hurts just thinking about it. But if I don't go and Preston hurts someone else, I'll feel worse. Michael's heart broke and rebuilt itself in the same moment. You sure? I'm sure. Lily looked up at him, those eyes that were so much like her mother's. Besides, you'll be there. And Marcus, and the other bikers, right? Right. Then I won't be alone. She managed a small smile. That's the thing about family. You don't have to be brave by yourself. Michael pulled her into a hug, holding on tight, marveling at this creature he'd somehow helped create. When did you get so wise? I don't know. Maybe when that boy called me defective and I realized he was wrong. He was very wrong. I know. Lily pulled back. Daddy, can I wear my purple dress? The one Mommy bought me. Michael felt tears threatening. Yeah, baby, you can wear the purple dress. Good. Mommy always said purple was the color of royalty. Lily stood up straight. And tomorrow I'm going to talk to those people like a queen. The school board meeting started at 7 p.m. By 6:30, the parking lot was overflowing. News vans from 3 different stations had set up outside. Reporters stalked the entrance, hunting for interviews. Parents who'd heard about the meeting through social media had driven from neighboring counties carrying signs and righteous anger. And in the middle of it all, 10 motorcycles rumbled into the lot, forming a protective perimeter around a beaten-up pickup truck carrying one mechanic and his 7-year-old daughter. Lily, can we get a statement? Mr. Morrison, how do you feel about facing the Whitmores tonight? Is it true you turned down $300,000? Michael shielded Lily from the cameras moving through the crowd toward the entrance. Marcus and the other bikers flanked them leather-clad walls of "don't even think about it." "No comment," Michael said. "We're just here to attend the meeting." "Lily, what do you want to say to Preston?" Lily stopped. Michael tried to keep moving, but she planted her feet. "Lily, we should go inside." "Hold on, Daddy." She turned to face the cameras. 7 years old, purple dress, one arm, and absolutely fearless. "I want to say that what Preston did was wrong, and I want to say that I'm not defective. Nobody is defective. We're all just different, and different isn't bad." The cameras flashed. Reporters shouted more questions. But Lily had said what she wanted to say. "Okay, Daddy. Now we can go inside." They pushed through the entrance, leaving the chaos behind. The meeting room was already packed, standing room only, with a long table at the front, where 6 school board members sat looking deeply uncomfortable. Harrison Whitmore sat in the front row, flanked by 2 lawyers. Preston sat beside him, staring at the floor, looking nothing like the confident predator from the parking lot. And in the corner alone sat a woman Michael didn't recognize. Blonde hair, designer clothes, perfectly manicured nails wrapped around a tissue she kept twisting and twisting. "That's Victoria Whitmore," Marcus murmured. "Preston's mother. She and Harrison are separated. Has been for 2 years. Why is she here? Guess we'll find out." The board chairman called the meeting to order. "We're here tonight to discuss the incident involving Preston Whitmore and Lily Morrison. Due to the nature of the allegations and the public interest, we've decided to hear statements from all involved parties." Harrison's lead lawyer stood immediately. "If I may, Mr. Chairman, my client objects to this proceeding. The incident in question occurred off school property. The school board has no jurisdiction." "The incident occurred in the school parking lot during pickup hours," the chairman interrupted. "That's school property and school time. We have jurisdiction. Furthermore, my client has already issued a public apology. Your client made excuses on national television and called his actions just words. That's not an apology." The lawyer sat down, jaw tight. "We'll hear from the Morrison family first. Mr. Morrison." Michael stood his hand on Lily's shoulder. "Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My daughter would like to make a statement." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The board members exchanged glances. "She's 7 years old," one of them said. "Is this appropriate?" "She was 7 years old when Preston Whitmore called her defective and filmed her crying." Catherine Webb stood, having entered through a side door. "I think she's earned the right to speak for herself." The chairman nodded. "Lily, if you want to say something, you can." Lily stepped forward. The room went silent. Hi." Her voice was small at first. "My name is Lily Morrison. I'm 7, and I have 1 arm." She held up her left arm, showing where it ended below the elbow. "Some people think that makes me different in a bad way. Like I'm broken or defective. But I'm not. I can do almost everything other kids can do. I just do it differently." She took a shaky breath. Marcus moved closer, ready to intervene if she needed support, but she kept going. "That day in the parking lot, Preston was really mean to me. He kicked my lunchbox into a puddle. He called me names. He filmed me crying and said it would get 1 million views." Her voice cracked. "He said I was defective, like a broken toy nobody wants." The room was absolutely still. I cried. I was really scared. But then I remembered what my daddy always tells me, that I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be, that what's missing on the outside doesn't change what's inside. Lily looked directly at Preston for the first time. And I realized something. Preston wasn't being mean because I'm defective. He was being mean because he's sad, because hurting me made him feel better about whatever hurts him. Preston's head came up. His eyes met Lily's. "I don't want him to go to jail," Lily said. "I don't even want him to get in trouble, not really. I just want him to stop. I want him to stop hurting people who can't fight back. And I want him to know that what he said, that word defective, it stays with you. It stays in your head at night when you're trying to sleep. It makes you wonder if maybe he's right." Lily's voice broke. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "But he's not right. I know he's not. Because my daddy tells me every single day that I'm perfect, and my mommy—" She stopped, swallowing hard. "My mommy told me before she died that I was her little warrior, that I was going to do big things. And I believe her." She wiped her face with her one hand. "So I just wanted to say that. I wanted to say that words matter. And when you use them to hurt people, you don't just hurt them for one day. You hurt them forever." She looked at the board members. "Please don't let him hurt anyone else. Please." Lily stepped back. Michael caught her, held her close, his own tears falling freely. The room erupted. Applause from the parents. Shouted accusations at Preston. Calls for expulsion, for criminal charges, for justice. The chairman banged his gavel repeatedly before order was restored. "Thank you, Lily. That was very brave." He turned to Harrison. "Mr. Whitmore, does your client wish to respond?" Harrison's lawyer started to stand, but Harrison stopped him. "Let Preston speak for himself." The lawyer looked shocked. "Mr. Whitmore, I advise against—" "I said, let him speak." Preston stood slowly. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in the past week. The confidence was gone. The smirk was gone. What remained was a 17-year-old boy who'd finally been forced to see himself clearly. "I don't have a speech prepared," he said quietly. "I don't have lawyers telling me what to say right now, so I'll just—" He stopped, started again. "I did what she said I did, all of it. I kicked her stuff. I called her names. I filmed her crying because I thought it would be funny." The room stirred. His father's face was unreadable. "The thing is, she was right, about me being sad, about me hurting people to feel better." Preston's voice wavered. "My dad, he's never really home. My mom left 2 years ago. I have everything I'm supposed to want, but I don't have—" He stopped. "That's not an excuse. There is no excuse. I just wanted you to know that she was right about me." He turned to face Lily directly. "I'm sorry, not because I got caught, not because my dad's business is suffering. I'm sorry because you didn't deserve what I did. You didn't deserve any of it." The room was dead silent. "I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything. I know you probably hate me, but I wanted you to know that I heard what you said. About words staying with you. About hurting forever." Preston's voice broke. "I didn't know. I didn't think about it like that. I just thought—" He couldn't finish. Harrison Whitmore stood abruptly. "Preston, sit down." "Dad." "I said sit down." "No." The word hung in the air like a grenade. "Excuse me." "I said no." Preston's hands were shaking. "You've been telling me to sit down my whole life. Sit down. Shut up. Let the lawyers handle it. Let the money fix it." He shook his head. "But money can't fix this. You can't buy back what I took from her." "Preston, this is not the time." "When is the time, Dad? When have we ever talked about anything real? You're never home. When you are home, you're on the phone. I could burn down the house and you'd have someone else put out the fire. That's enough. It's not enough. It's never been enough." Preston pointed at Lily. "That girl has one arm and a dad who works 60 hours a week. You know what she has that I don't. She has a father who actually sees her, who actually cares about her, who would turn down $300,000 to protect her." Harrison's face went white. "How do you know about that?" "I heard you on the phone, bragging about how you'd crush them, how you'd take everything they had until they begged for mercy." Preston laughed bitterly. "And you know what I thought? I thought that's exactly what I would do, because that's what you taught me. That's who you made me. Preston, I don't want to be you, Dad. I don't want to be someone who destroys people because they wouldn't take a bribe." Preston turned to the board. "I'll accept whatever punishment you give me. Expulsion, community service, whatever. I earned it." He sat down. The silence stretched for what felt like forever. Then Victoria Whitmore stood up. "If I may," her voice was soft but steady. "I'm Victoria Whitmore. Preston's mother. The chairman nodded cautiously. Mrs. Whitmore, I've listened to everything tonight. My son, that little girl, my husband threatening to destroy a family who just wanted justice. She took a deep breath. And I have something to say. Victoria, Harrison's voice was warning. Don't. This isn't the first time, Victoria continued, ignoring him. Preston's behavior. There have been other incidents. 3 that I know of. A boy with autism he tormented until the family moved away. A girl with a speech impediment he mocked until she stopped speaking altogether. A teacher who tried to discipline him and was fired the next week. The room erupted. The chairman banged his gavel. Every time, Victoria continued over the noise, Harrison made it go away. Settlements, threats, donations, whatever it took to protect the family name. Her voice hardened. Our son learned that there are no consequences for cruelty. He learned it from his father, and I was complicit because I stayed silent. Victoria, that's enough. No, Harrison, it's not nearly enough. She looked at Lily. I'm sorry. For what my son did, for what my husband tried to do, and for what I failed to stop. She walked across the room, ignoring Harrison's protests, ignoring the cameras, ignoring everything except the little girl in the purple dress. She knelt down to Lily's level. You are not defective. You are brave and beautiful and exactly who you're supposed to be. Victoria's voice broke. My son was wrong. My husband was wrong, and I was wrong for not stopping them sooner. Lily looked at her for a long moment. Then she did something that made everyone in the room catch their breath. She reached out with her one hand and touched Victoria's cheek. It's okay, Lily said softly. You're stopping them now. That counts. Victoria Whitmore, ex-wife of a billionaire mother of the boy who'd tried to break this child, burst into tears. The vote was unanimous, 6-0. Preston Whitmore was expelled from Riverside Elementary District effective immediately. Additionally, the board recommended criminal charges be filed with the county prosecutor. Harrison Whitmore stormed out without a word. Victoria stayed behind, talking quietly with Catherine Webb about what she knew, what she could prove, what she was willing to testify about in court. And Lily Morrison, 7 years old, one-arm purple dress, walked out of that meeting room a different kind of famous. Not the girl in the video anymore. Not the victim. The girl who'd stood up, spoken truth, and changed everything. Marcus was waiting outside with the other bikers. Hey, kid. You did good in there, Lily smiled tiredly. I was really scared. I know. Brave anyway. Marcus, is it over now? Marcus looked at the news vans, the crowds, the chaos that was still very much in motion. No, kid. It's not over. The court case is just starting. Harrison Whitmore is going to fight with everything he has. He knelt down to her level. But here's the thing about guys like him. They're used to fighting people who give up. They're not used to fighting people like you. What's different about me? You already lost your arm. You already lost your mom. You've already been through the worst things life can throw at a kid, and you're still standing. Marcus smiled. Harrison Whitmore has never lost anything in his life. He doesn't know how to take a punch. You do. Lily thought about that. So I'm stronger because of the bad stuff. Not because of it, through it. The bad stuff didn't make you strong. You made you strong. The bad stuff just proved it. Lily nodded slowly. Then she held up her fist. Marcus bumped it with his own. Whatever happens next, he said, you've got 10 brothers who'll be right there with you, and a whole country that knows your name. I don't want to be famous. I know. But sometimes famous is how you change the world. Marcus stood. Come on, little warrior. Let's get you home. Michael carried Lily to the truck, exhausted and overwhelmed and prouder than he'd ever been in his life. Behind them, the school board building emptied out, but the story was just beginning. Tomorrow, the lawsuit would be filed. Next week, the criminal charges would follow. And Harrison Whitmore, who'd never lost anything, was about to lose everything. He just didn't know it yet. The lawsuit was filed at 9:17 a.m. on a Thursday morning. By noon, every major news network in America was covering it. Catherine Webb had crafted the complaint like a weapon. 23 pages of documented abuse of power, economic retaliation, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. She named Harrison Whitmore personally, Whitmore Real Estate as a corporate entity, and 6 subsidiary companies that had participated in the campaign to destroy Michael Morrison's livelihood. The damages requested $15 million. $15 million. Michael had nearly choked when Catherine told him. That's insane. I just wanted my shop back. This isn't about the shop anymore, Catherine had explained. This is about sending a message. Harrison Whitmore used his wealth as a weapon against a working father who refused to sell his daughter's dignity. If we ask for too little, other billionaires will think they can do the same thing with pocket change. What if we lose? We won't lose. How can you be so sure? Catherine had smiled. Because Victoria Whitmore is willing to testify about everything. The cover-ups, the bribes, the pattern of protection. Harrison's own ex-wife is going to bury him. She was right. The discovery phase of the lawsuit revealed what Victoria had only hinted at. 3 previous incidents, just as she'd said. But the details were worse than anyone had imagined. The autistic boy Preston had tormented was named Kevin Chen. He'd been 11 years old when Preston filmed him having a meltdown and posted it online with the caption, "Watch the retard freak out." The video had gotten 50,000 views before Harrison's lawyers got it taken down. The Chen family had received $100,000 to sign a non-disclosure agreement and move to another state. The girl with the speech impediment was named Maria Santos. Preston had mimicked her stutter every day for 3 months until she stopped speaking entirely. She'd required 2 years of therapy to talk again. The Santos family had received $75,000 and a promise that Preston would transfer to a different class. The teacher who'd been fired was named Robert Williams. He'd given Preston detention for cheating on a test. 2 weeks later, anonymous accusations of inappropriate conduct appeared in his personnel file. He'd lost his job, his reputation, and his marriage. He'd never taught again. 3 families destroyed, 3 lives derailed, and Harrison Whitmore had made it all disappear with money. Until now. Mr. Morrison. A reporter caught Michael outside the courthouse after the discovery documents were made public. The revelations about the other victims. How do you feel? Michael stopped, looked directly at the camera. I feel sick. I feel angry. And I feel lucky. Lucky. Lucky that when Preston came for my daughter, there were witnesses who wouldn't stay silent. Lucky that 10 men on motorcycles decided to give a damn. Michael's voice hardened. Kevin Chen didn't have witnesses. Maria Santos didn't have Hell's Angels. Robert Williams didn't have a lawyer willing to work for free. They were alone, and Harrison Whitmore counted on that. What do you want to say to those families? I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry nobody fought for them. And I want them to know that what happened to them matters, that they're not forgotten. Michael took a breath. And I want to say that if anyone else has a story about the Whitmores, please come forward. You're not alone anymore. We're not alone anymore. By the end of the week, 4 more families had contacted Catherine Webb. 4 more victims. 4 more cover-ups. 4 more settlements buried under non-disclosure agreements that Harrison Whitmore had assumed would hold forever. They didn't hold. One by one, the families chose to break their silence. They chose to risk legal retaliation. They chose to add their voices to the chorus, demanding justice. And Harrison Whitmore, who had never lost a fight in his life, watched his empire begin to crumble. The criminal charges came 3 weeks later. Preston Whitmore was charged with harassment of a minor aggravated by targeting a disabled child. It was a misdemeanor, but a serious one carrying potential jail time and a permanent criminal record. Harrison tried everything. He offered the DA a campaign contribution. The DA refused and leaked the offer to the press. He tried to get the charges dismissed on technical grounds. The judge denied every motion. He tried to negotiate a plea deal that would keep Preston's record clean. Catherine Webb demanded a public trial. Why? Michael asked her. Preston apologized. He seems genuinely sorry. Why push for a trial? Because Harrison Whitmore needs to lose in public, Catherine explained. He needs to stand in a courtroom and watch a jury reject his money, his lawyers, and his power. He needs to understand that some things can't be bought. And Preston, what happens to him? That depends on Preston. Catherine's expression softened slightly. I've been watching him since the school board meeting. The way he stood up to his father. The things he said. I think there's a chance, a small one, that he actually wants to change. Do you believe people can change? I believe people can choose to change. Whether they follow through is another matter. The trial lasted 4 days. Lily testified on the second day. She wore her purple dress again, the one her mother had bought her, and she spoke clearly and calmly about what Preston had done. The defense lawyer tried to suggest that Lily had exaggerated, that it was just rough play between kids. Lily looked at him and said, I was 7. He was 17. He called me defective and filmed me crying. That's not play. That's mean. The jury took 2 hours to convict. Preston stood for sentencing with his mother beside him. Victoria had left Harrison officially, now filed for divorce, moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. She'd chosen her son over her husband, over the money, over everything. Preston Whitmore, the judge said, you have been found guilty of harassment of a minor with aggravating circumstances. Under Missouri law, I could sentence you to up to 1 year in county jail. Preston's face went pale. Victoria grabbed his hand. However, the judge continued, I've reviewed your statement at the school board meeting. I've read the letters submitted on your behalf, including, I note, a letter from the victim's father asking for leniency. Michael had written that letter at Lily's request. She'd said she didn't want Preston to go to jail. She wanted him to get better. Mr. Morrison writes that his daughter believes you're capable of change, that she sees something in you worth saving. The judge paused. I hope she's right. I am sentencing you to 300 hours of community service to be completed at the Children's Adaptive Sports League. You will work directly with disabled children, helping them participate in athletic activities. Perhaps by spending time with the people you once mocked, you'll learn what your wealth and privilege never taught you, that every person has value. Preston's shoulders sagged with relief. Additionally, the judge continued, you will write a letter of apology to Lily Morrison, not the kind your lawyers draft. A real letter. You will tell her what you've learned and what you plan to do differently. This letter will be reviewed by the court before being delivered. Yes, Your Honor. Finally, you will be on probation for 2 years. Any violation, any hint of bullying, harassment, or cruelty, and you will serve the full year in jail. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, I understand. Good, because this is your one chance, Mr. Whitmore. Your one chance to become someone different. Don't waste it. The gavel came down. Preston was led away to begin processing. Victoria followed, tears streaming down her face. And in the gallery, Lily Morrison tugged on her father's sleeve. Daddy, is it over now? Michael looked at his daughter, at Marcus and the bikers sitting behind them, at Catherine Webb gathering her papers, at the reporters waiting outside. The trial's over, baby, but I don't think we're done yet. What do you mean? I mean, Michael took a deep breath. I think this is just the beginning. He was right. The civil settlement came 2 months later. Harrison Whitmore facing mounting legal costs, abandoned clients, and a divorce that was bleeding him financially finally agreed to negotiate. The final number was $3.5 million. $3.5 million plus the restoration of Michael's shop lease, plus payment of all back rent and loan obligations, plus a public apology published in the state's 3 largest newspapers. It's not $15 million, Catherine admitted when she called with the news, but it's enough to change your life. And more importantly, it's enough to hurt him. I don't care about hurting him. I know. That's what makes you different from him. Michael sat with the settlement paperwork for a long time after hanging up. $3.5 million. More money than he'd ever imagined. More than his father had made in his entire life. More than enough to give Lily everything she'd ever need. And somehow it didn't feel like winning. Daddy, Lily stood in the doorway watching him. Hey, baby girl, come here. She climbed into his lap, looked at the papers. Is that the money? Yeah, that's the money. How much? A lot. More than enough for college. More than enough to fix up the shop. More than enough for whatever you want. Lily was quiet for a moment. What do you want, Daddy? Michael thought about it. Really thought. I want to help other people. Other kids like you. Other families like us. He looked at his daughter. What do you want? I want to make sure no other kids feel like I felt, like they're defective, like nobody cares. How would we do that? I don't know, but Marcus might. He's smart about this stuff. Michael smiled. You want to call him? Can we? Yeah, baby, we can call him. Marcus arrived at the Morrison apartment an hour later, Bishop and Wrench in tow. They sat around the small kitchen table while Lily explained her idea. I want to help other kids, kids who get bullied, kids who are different. I want them to know they're not alone. Marcus nodded slowly. We've been thinking about the same thing. The club's been talking since this all started. About how we could do more. More how we visit VA hospitals. We do charity rides. We show up when people need help. Marcus leaned forward. But we've never done anything with schools. Never worked with kids directly. Why not? Because people see the leather, see the patches, and they assume the worst. Schools don't want bikers around their students. Lily tilted her head. But you're not bad guys. You're good guys who look scary. Marcus laughed. That's about right. So maybe that's the point. Lily's eyes lit up. Maybe scary-looking guys being nice is the message. Like you can't judge people by how they look. You can't assume you know who they are. The table went quiet. Bishop spoke first. Kid's got a point. We spent years fighting the stereotype. Maybe instead of fighting it, we use it. Use it how? Michael asked. We go into schools. We talk about bullying. We talk about making assumptions about people. Bishop smiled. And we bring Lily with us. The girl who stood up to a bully twice her size and taught him something about courage. Like a program, like a partnership, Hell's Angels and the Morrison family. We provide the muscle and the message. You provide the heart. Lily bounced in her seat. Can we, Daddy? Can we do that? Michael looked at his daughter. At these men who'd changed their lives. At the papers on the table representing more money than he'd ever seen. Yeah, he said. Yeah, we can do that. The program launched 6 months later. They called it Guardian Angels. The concept was simple. Bikers visited schools, talked about their own experiences with being judged and misunderstood, and then Lily told her story. She talked about the day in the parking lot, about what Preston had said, about how she'd felt and how she'd fought back. The first presentation was at a middle school in Jefferson City. Lily was terrified. Her hands shook so badly she dropped her notes twice before giving up on them entirely. Just tell them what you told me, Marcus whispered. Forget the notes. Speak from here. He tapped his chest. Lily took a breath, looked out at 100 faces, and started talking. Hi, I'm Lily. I'm 8 now, but when this happened, I was 7. And I was really, really scared. She told them everything. The kicks, the words, the feeling of being alone and helpless. And then she told them about standing up, about finding her voice, about discovering she was braver than she knew. When she finished, the room was silent. Then a boy in the back raised his hand. I get bullied too, every day. What do I do? Tell someone, Lily said. Keep telling until someone helps, and remember that what they say about you isn't true. It's about them, not you. But what if nobody believes me? Then find someone who will. A teacher, a parent, a biker. Lily smiled. Someone will care. You just have to keep looking until you find them. After the presentation, that boy waited in line to talk to Lily. His name was James. He was 12, overweight, and had been called names every day since 3rd grade. You really think I can be brave like you? I think you already are, Lily said. You asked for help. That's the bravest thing. James burst into tears. Lily hugged him with her one arm, and Marcus had to turn away so no one would see his eyes watering. That was the first school. Then there was another, and another. Word spread. Invitations came from across the state, then from neighboring states. Within a year, Guardian Angels had visited over 100 schools and reached more than 50,000 students. The statistics were remarkable. Schools that hosted the program saw bullying incidents drop by 40%. Reports of harassment increased because kids finally felt safe speaking up. Teachers reported better classroom dynamics. Parents reported happier children. And Lily Morrison, the girl in the video, became something else entirely. She became a symbol. News crews followed her presentations. Magazines wanted interviews. A publisher approached Michael about a children's book, Lily's Story, in her own words for kids who needed to hear it. "What do you think?" Michael asked her. "Do you want to write a book?" "I don't know how to write a book. We'll figure it out together, like we always do." They worked on it for 6 months. Every night after homework, Lily would dictate and Michael would type. They argued about words. They laughed about memories. They cried when they got to the hard parts. The book was called One Hand Whole Heart. It was published on Lily's 9th birthday. The first printing sold out in 3 days. While Lily was building her new life, Preston Whitmore was serving his sentence. The Children's Adaptive Sports League was nothing like he'd expected. He'd imagined sad children in wheelchairs, depressing facilities, forced smiles, and counting the hours until he was done. What he found was chaos. Beautiful, loud, joyful chaos. Kids with missing limbs playing basketball. Kids in wheelchairs racing each other down hallways. Kids who couldn't speak communicating in sign language and laughter. Kids who society had written off, proving every day that they were more than their disabilities. The first week, Preston just observed. He didn't know how to talk to these children, didn't know what to say. Every time he tried, he thought about Lily, about the word defective, about the person he used to be. The second week, a boy named Jamie changed everything. Jamie was 9 years old. He'd lost his leg to bone cancer at 7. He was also the best wheelchair basketball player Preston had ever seen. "You gonna just stand there or you gonna play?" Preston blinked. "What? Basketball, me versus you, unless you're scared." "I'm not scared of a kid in a wheelchair." "Then prove it." They played. Jamie destroyed him. It wasn't even close. "How are you so good?" Preston asked afterward, genuinely stunned. "Practice, same as anything." Jamie shrugged. "Lost my leg, not my brain, or my jump shot." "But doesn't it bother you, being different?" Jamie looked at him for a long moment. "You're that guy, aren't you? The one who bullied the girl with one arm." Preston's stomach dropped. "Yeah, that's me." "Why'd you do it?" "I don't know. I thought I knew, but..." Preston struggled for words. "I think I was angry. At everything. At my dad. At my life. And she was there, and she was vulnerable, and I thought that hurting her would make you feel better." "Yeah." "Did it, admit, no, it made everything worse." Jamie nodded slowly. "My friend Marcus, the biker guy, he says hurt people hurt people. Like the pain you feel inside, you push it onto someone else because you don't know what else to do with it. You know Marcus. He comes here sometimes, helps out, talks to us." Jamie smiled. "He's pretty cool for an old guy." "He's the one who, at the parking lot, he was the first one to help Lily." "I know. He tells that story. Says that little girl taught him more about courage than 2 tours in Afghanistan." Preston was quiet for a while. "I have to write her a letter for the court, an apology. You figure out what you're gonna say." "Not yet. Everything I write sounds fake." Jamie thought about it. Maybe stop trying to sound like something. Just tell her the truth. What if the truth isn't good enough? Probably won't be, but it's better than lying. That night, Preston went home and tried again. He'd written 15 drafts already. All of them ended up in the trash. This time, he didn't try to be eloquent, didn't try to impress, just wrote. "Dear Lily, I've been working with kids who have disabilities for 3 months now. Every day I see them do things I couldn't do with 2 arms and 2 legs. Every day I remember what I called you, defective. I was wrong. You're not defective. None of them are. I'm the one who is broken. I'm the one who looked at someone struggling and decided to make it worse instead of better. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I think about what you said at the school board meeting every single day, about words staying with you forever, about hurting people in ways that don't heal. You were right, and I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to be someone who helps instead of hurts. I don't know if I'll ever be good enough to make up for what I did, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying. Preston. He sent it to his lawyer. His lawyer sent it to the court. The court approved it and forwarded it to Lily. Lily read it sitting on her father's lap, the same way she'd sat when this whole thing started. Daddy, what do you think? I think he means it, but what matters is what you think. Lily read the letter again, then again. He's trying, she finally said. That's something, right? Yeah, baby, that's something. Should I write back? That's up to you. You don't owe him anything. Lily thought about it for a long time. Then she picked up a pen and a piece of paper. Dear Preston, thank you for your letter. I'm glad you're helping kids now. That's what matters, not what you did before, but what you do next. I don't know if I forgive you. I don't know what forgiveness even means for something like this, but I don't hate you, and I hope you become the person you're trying to be. Lily. She folded it carefully, put it in an envelope, wrote his name on the front. There, she said. Done. Michael looked at his daughter, this extraordinary, impossible, unbreakable girl, and felt something he hadn't felt since her mother died. Peace. Not everything was fixed. Not everything was healed. But something had shifted. Something had completed. And maybe that was enough. Maybe that was the whole point. The year ended with a celebration. Michael's shop was thriving again, better than thriving. The publicity from the trial had brought in more business than he could handle. He'd hired 2 mechanics, then 3, then 4. He'd opened a training center next door, teaching automotive skills to disabled adults who wanted to work with their hands. The settlement money had been divided carefully. College fund for Lily, emergency fund for the family, and the rest went into a foundation, the Sarah Morrison Foundation, named for Lily's mother, that provided scholarships for disabled children pursuing education in any field. Guardian Angels had expanded to 12 states. Marcus and the Hells Angels traveled constantly, spreading the message, changing minds one school at a time. They'd become minor celebrities, the scary-looking bikers who taught kids about kindness. And Lily Morrison, 9 years old, one-arm author of a best-selling children's book, had received 300 letters from kids all over the country telling her that her story had given them hope. On New Year's Eve, Marcus came by the apartment with a gift for Lily. What is it? Open it. She tore off the wrapping paper to find a leather jacket, child-sized, with patches. That's an official Guardian Angels jacket, Marcus said. We voted. You're one of us now. Honorary member. Lily's eyes went wide. Really? Really? You earned it, kid. Everything you've done this year. Marcus's voice caught. You reminded me why we do what we do, why it matters. Lily threw her one arm around him in a fierce hug. Thank you, Marcus, for everything, for that day in the parking lot, for not walking away. I couldn't walk away. You know why. Why? Because I had a daughter once, Sarah. She passed away when she was 6. Marcus pulled back, met Lily's eyes. When I saw you in that parking lot being hurt, being alone, I thought about her. I thought about what I would have wanted someone to do if she was the one being bullied. I'm sorry about Sarah. Me too, every day. Marcus smiled through his tears. But you know what I think she sent me to that gas station that day? I think she made sure I was there when you needed someone. Like an angel. Yeah, kid, like an angel. Lily looked at the jacket in her hands, at the patches that declared her part of something bigger than herself. Marcus, do you think she'd be proud you're Sarah? I think she'd love you. I think she'd want to be just like you when she grew up. Marcus stood. Happy New Year, Lily. I'll see you at the next school visit. Happy New Year, Marcus. He left. Lily put on the jacket. It fit perfectly. Michael watched his daughter examine herself in the mirror, this warrior in leather and purple, this symbol of everything good people could be. You look amazing, baby girl. I feel amazing, Daddy. She turned to face him. Is this real? Everything that happened? Sometimes it feels like a dream. It's real. All of it. The bad stuff and the good stuff. The bad stuff made the good stuff possible, didn't it? Maybe. Or maybe you made the good stuff possible. The bad stuff just gave you a chance to show who you really are. Lily thought about that. Then she smiled. I like that better. Me too. Outside, fireworks began to explode. A new year was starting. A new chapter was beginning. And somewhere across town, Preston Whitmore sat in his small apartment he'd moved out of his father's mansion months ago, writing a scholarship application for a program in adaptive technology engineering. He wanted to design prosthetics, affordable ones, for kids. He wanted to spend his life making things that helped instead of hurt. He didn't know if it would ever be enough to make up for what he'd done, but he was going to try. They all were. 3 years changed everything and nothing. Lily Morrison was 11 now, tall for her age, with her mother's eyes and her father's stubborn jaw. She'd grown into the kind of girl who walked into rooms and made people pay attention, not because she demanded it, but because something about her commanded it naturally. The video that had once defined her was ancient history in internet terms. New outrages had replaced it. New heroes had emerged. New villains had fallen. The world had moved on, as the world always does. But the changes Lily's story had sparked remained. Guardian Angels operated in 43 states now. Over 200,000 students had heard the message. Bullying incidents in participating schools had dropped by an average of 47%. Teachers reported that kids were speaking up more, protecting each other, more treating differences as interesting rather than threatening. And Lily's law, the legislation that made cyberbullying of disabled minors a felony with serious consequences, had finally passed through Congress after 3 years of advocacy, lobbying, and one very determined 11-year-old girl testifying before a Senate committee. Miss Morrison, Senator Patricia Coleman had asked during the hearing, "You're asking us to create new criminal penalties for behavior that some might call just words. Why should words be treated as seriously as physical assault?" Lily had leaned into the microphone. "Because words leave scars you can't see. When that boy called me defective, it didn't heal in a week like my scraped knee. It's been 4 years and sometimes I still hear it. In my head, when I'm trying to fall asleep. When I meet new people and wonder if they're thinking the same thing." She'd paused, gathering herself. Physical wounds heal from the outside in. You can watch them get better. But word wounds heal from the inside out, if they heal at all. You can't put a bandage on your soul. The committee had voted unanimously to advance the bill. President Williams had signed it into law on Lily's 11th birthday, with Lily standing beside him wearing her guardian angel's jacket over her purple dress. This young woman, the president had said, taught America something we should have known all along. That courage isn't about being unafraid. It's about being afraid and standing up anyway. That strength isn't about having everything. It's about using whatever you have to help others. He'd handed Lily the pen he'd used to sign. "Thank you, Mr. President," she'd said. "But I'm just one person. The real heroes are everyone who listened when I spoke and decided to do something about it." The clip went viral. Again. Michael Morrison watched his daughter handle fame with the same grace she'd handled everything else by refusing to let it define her. "Daddy, I don't want to be famous," she'd told him after the signing ceremony. "I just want to be normal." "Baby girl, I hate to tell you this, but you were never normal." "You know what I mean." "I do, and I understand." He'd knelt down to her level the way he always had. "But here's the thing about what you've done. It's not about you anymore. It's about every kid who sees you and thinks, if she can be brave, maybe I can too. You didn't ask for that responsibility, but you've got it. What if I mess up? Then you mess up, and you keep going. That's what brave people do." Lily had hugged him tight. "I miss Mom. She would have known what to say. She would have said she's proud of you. Same thing I say every day. You think she's watching? I know she is." The unexpected message came on a Tuesday. Lily was doing homework when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. She got a lot of strange messages these days, but something made her look. "Hi, Lily. This is Preston. I know it's been a long time and I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I thought you should know something. I'm graduating from vocational school next month. Adaptive technology engineering. I've been designing prosthetics for kids, affordable ones, with input from the kids who actually use them. None of this fixes what I did to you. Nothing ever will. But I thought you should know that you changed my life. Not the punishment, not the trial. You. What you said about words staying with you forever. What you said about me being scared and alone. It's been 4 years and I hear your voice every time I'm about to do something wrong. It stops me. Every time. You don't have to respond. I just needed you to know. Preston. Lily read the message 3 times. Then she showed it to her father. What do you think? Michael asked. I think he's been trying, really trying. Does that change how you feel about him? I don't know. I don't hate him anymore. I stopped hating him a long time ago. Hate is heavy. It was making me tired. That's very wise. Marcus said that, about hurt people hurting people, and how holding on to anger just keeps the hurt going. Lily looked at the phone again. Should I write back? That's your choice. It's always been your choice. Lily thought for a long time, then she typed. I'm glad you're using your life to help people. That's what matters now. Not what happened before, but what you do with what's left. Good luck with graduation. Lily. She hit send before she could overthink it. Across town in a small apartment he'd rented after leaving his father's world behind. Preston Whitmore felt his phone buzz. He read Lily's response 7 times. Then he saved it, framed it, put it on his desk where he could see it every day. Not forgiveness, not absolution, just permission to keep trying. It was more than he deserved. It was exactly what he needed. Preston's graduation was a small affair. His mother was there, a few friends from the vocational program, his advisor who'd pushed him harder than anyone ever had, and to his complete shock, Marcus Rodriguez. What are you doing here? Heard you were graduating. Thought I'd see it for myself. How did you even know? Jamie told me. The kid from the Adaptive Sports League. You two are still friends. Yeah, he's the first real friend I ever had, I think. The first person who didn't care about my family's money. Marcus nodded slowly. Jamie's good people. So's his mom. They invited me when they heard I knew you. And you came. I came. Marcus studied him. You look different. Thinner. Tired. But different in a good way. I am different. At least, I'm trying to be. Trying's all any of us can do. Marcus pulled out an envelope. This is from Lily and her dad. They asked me to give it to you if you actually graduated. Preston took the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a card with a picture of a sunrise on the front. Dear Preston, the card read in careful handwriting. Congratulations on your graduation. We're proud of how far you've come. Keep going. Michael and Lily Morrison. We're proud of how far you've come. The words blurred as Preston's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve this. Probably not, Marcus agreed. But that's not the point. The point is what you do with it. I'm going to keep helping kids. That's the plan. Work at a prosthetics company, design affordable solutions, make sure every kid who needs help can get it. Good plan, but I've got a better one. What? Come work with us. Guardian Angels is expanding. We're starting a program specifically for prosthetics and adaptive equipment. We need someone who knows the technology and who understands, really understands why this work matters. Preston stared at him. You want me to work with you after what I did. What you did was 4 years ago. What you've done since then is what matters now. Marcus extended his hand. So you in... Preston looked at that hand. The hand that had helped Lily up from the pavement. The hand that had started all of this. He shook it. I'm in. The documentary premiered on the 5th anniversary of the parking lot incident. Channel 7 had spent a year putting it together, interviewing everyone involved. Lily, Michael, Marcus, The other Hells Angels, Catherine Webb, Victoria Whitmore. Even Preston, in a separate segment, filmed at the prosthetics workshop where he now spent his days. The filmmakers had wanted to call it The Girl in the Video. Lily had vetoed that. "That's who I was," she'd said, "not who I am." They'd settled on One Hand, Whole Heart, the same as her book. Lily watched the premiere at home with her father Marcus and a dozen Hells Angels who'd become family over the years. They'd pushed the couch back, set up extra chairs, and filled the apartment with people who'd been part of the story. The documentary opened with the video, the one that had started everything. Lily watched herself at 7 years old being mocked, falling, bleeding, crying, then standing up. "I didn't remember it being that bad," she said quietly. "It was that bad," Michael said. "But you were that brave." The film moved through the story chronologically. The bikers crossing the street, the school board meeting, the trial, the settlement, guardian angels, Lily's law, everything that had grown from one terrible day in a parking lot. Then came Preston's segment. He sat in his workshop surrounded by prosthetic arms in various stages of completion. He looked older, harder, but there was something in his eyes that hadn't been there before, something that looked almost like peace. "I was a monster," he said on screen. "I don't use that word lightly. I looked at a 7-year-old girl who'd never done anything to me, and I decided to destroy her. For fun, for content, for the feeling of power it gave me." He held up one of the prosthetics, a small one designed for a child. "This is purple, with stars. A girl named Sophie asked for it. She's 8, lost her arm in a car accident. When she came in for her fitting, I looked at her and I saw Lily. I saw what I almost took from the world." His voice broke. "Lily Morrison saved my life. Not by forgiving me, I don't think she ever fully forgave me, and she shouldn't. But by surviving me. By showing me that the person I was trying to break was stronger than I would ever be." He set down the prosthetic. "I can't undo what I did. I can't give her back the childhood I helped destroy. But I can spend the rest of my life making sure other kids don't feel the way she felt. That's not redemption. It's not even close. It's just trying. Every day. To be someone she'd be proud to have changed." The room was silent as the segment ended. Then Lily spoke. "I didn't know he felt that way. Would it have changed anything if you had—" Lily thought about it. "No, but it's nice to know." The documentary ended with current footage of Lily speaking at a school, laughing with Marcus, walking with her father through the parking lot where it had all happened. "What do you want people to take away from your story?" the interviewer asked. Lily looked directly at the camera. "That words matter. That standing up matters. That one person can change things, but it works better when you're not alone," she smiled. "And that the worst day of your life can become the first day of something amazing. If you let it, if you fight for it, if you refuse to let anyone tell you that you're less than you are." The screen faded to black. Credits rolled. And somewhere in America, a girl who'd been bullied for her weight turned off the television and decided to tell someone. A boy who'd been mocking a classmate put down his phone and walked away. A teacher who'd been ignoring warning signs picked up the phone to make a call. A parent who'd been too busy looked at their child and asked, "Is everything okay?" One story, millions of ripples. The final visit was Marcus's idea. 1 year after the documentary, on the 6th anniversary of the incident, he suggested they go back to Riverside Elementary. Not for a Guardian Angels event, not for press, just to see. Lily didn't want to go at first. "Why, what's there?" "Something I want to show you." So she went. Michael drove. Marcus followed on his bike. The parking lot looked different. Smaller somehow, the way places from childhood always do when you return. But that wasn't what Marcus wanted to show her. "This way." He led her around the building to what used to be an empty field behind the school. Lily stopped. Where there had been nothing there was now a playground. But not just any playground. Every piece of equipment was designed to be accessible. Ramps alongside stairs, swings with supportive seats, sensory stations for kids with autism. Everything colorful, everything welcoming, everything built to include rather than exclude. And at the entrance, a bronze plaque. The Lily Morrison Inclusive Play Space, dedicated to the girl who taught us that different isn't defective. It's beautiful. Lily's hand flew to her mouth. When did they finished it last month. The school board approved it after Lily's law passed. The funding came from donations, people who saw the documentary and wanted to do something. Marcus stood beside her. This is what you built, kid. Not just a law, not just a program. This. Children were playing. A girl in a wheelchair raced a boy on foot, both of them laughing. Two kids helped a third navigate the sensory station. A group of mixed abilities played together on the inclusive climbing structure. Nobody stared. Nobody pointed. Nobody used words that would stay with anyone forever. This is real. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. This is real. And there are 17 more like it across the state. 23 more being built. Marcus put his hand on her shoulder. You remember what you told me that first day at the gas station after everything happened? I said I was used to it, being hurt. And what did I say? That no kid should ever be used to being hurt. Marcus nodded toward the playground. Look at them. Those kids aren't used to anything but playing together, being together. That's because of you. Lily watched the children play, watched them include each other without being told, watched them treat differences as just part of the landscape. I was so angry, she said quietly, for so long, at Preston, at his father, at everyone who'd ever made me feel small. And now I'm just grateful that it happened to me instead of someone who couldn't handle it, that I had you and Daddy and everyone who showed up. She turned to face Marcus. Is that weird? Being grateful for the worst day of my life. It's not weird, it's wisdom. Marcus knelt down. He always knelt when they talked about important things. The worst day of your life became the foundation for everything you've built. The anger you felt became fuel. The pain you survived became proof that you could survive anything. That's not weird. That's alchemy. That's turning lead into gold. What if I forget? What if I stop being grateful and start being angry again? Then you feel the anger, and then you do something constructive with it. Marcus stood. That's the whole secret, kid. You don't stop feeling things. You just learn to use what you feel. Lily looked at the playground one more time, at the children who would never know how close they came to a world without spaces like this, at the future she'd helped create. Marcus, yeah, thank you for crossing the street that day, for not walking away. I couldn't walk away. You know why? Because of Sarah, your daughter. Because of Sarah, and because of you. He smiled. I saw you, and I knew. I knew you were going to be something special. I just didn't know how special. I'm not special. I'm just me. That's what makes you special. You're just you. Unapologetically. Unconditionally. Just Lily. He put out his fist. One hand. She bumped it with her own. Whole heart. They walked back to the parking lot together. Michael was waiting by the truck, pretending he hadn't been crying. You okay, Daddy? I'm good, baby girl. I'm real good. Then let's go home. They climbed into the truck. Marcus mounted his bike. And as they pulled out of the parking lot, the same parking lot where everything had changed 6 years ago, Lily looked back one more time. She saw the spot where she'd fallen, where she'd bled, where she'd been called defective by a boy who didn't understand what that word meant. She saw it, and she smiled. Not because the memory was good, but because she'd survived it, transformed it, used it to build something that would outlast her. The trauma hadn't disappeared. It had become purpose. Purpose had become power. And power had become the simple knowledge that Lily Morrison mattered not because of what had been done to her, but because of who she'd chosen to become. She was 12 years old now. She had one hand. She had a father who loved her, and a family that had grown to include bikers and lawyers and thousands of strangers who'd become allies. She had scars that would never fully heal and strength that would never fully be tested. She was exactly who she was supposed to be, and she was just getting started. The truck turned the corner, leaving the school behind. Lily pulled out her phone and typed a message to Preston. "I saw the playground today, the one with my name on it. Thank you for helping make it happen." 3 dots appeared. Then his response. "I didn't do much, just donated and helped with the adaptive equipment design. You did the hard part. We all did our part. That's how it works." "Yeah, I guess it is." Preston. "Yeah, I forgive you. For real this time. All the way." A long pause. Then, "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know. You can let it go now. The guilt. The trying to make up for it. Just let it go and live your life." "Lily, thank you. That means everything." "I know. That's why I said it." She added a smiley face. "Now go design some purple prosthetics with stars." "Already on it. Sophie's getting an upgrade next week." "Good. Tell her I said hi." "I will." Lily put down the phone. Michael glanced over. "Everything okay?" "Everything's perfect, Daddy." "You sure?" Lily looked out the window at the town rolling past, at the world she'd helped change just by refusing to stay down when someone tried to push her. "I'm sure. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Michael reached over and took her hand, her only hand, the one that had done the work of 2 her entire life. "Your mom would be so proud of you." "I know. I feel her all the time. In the wind, in the sun, in the way strangers smile at me like they know me. She's watching. She's more than watching. She's helping." Lily squeezed his hand. "Just like you. Just like Marcus. Just like everyone who showed up when I needed them." They drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then Lily spoke again. "Daddy." "Yeah, baby. I want to do more. Not just speeches and programs. I want to change laws, run organizations, make sure every kid who feels like I felt has somewhere to turn. That's a big dream. It's the only dream worth having." She sat up straight. "I'm going to spend my whole life on this. I know that now. This is what I was made for. This is why everything happened the way it happened." Michael felt tears threatening again. This girl. This impossible, unstoppable, unbreakable girl. "Then that's what you'll do," he said. "And I'll be right beside you, every step. Promise. Promise." Lily leaned her head against his shoulder, the way she'd done since she was small enough to fit in his lap. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, baby girl. More than all the stars." "More than all the stars," she echoed. Behind them, Marcus's motorcycle rumbled steadily, a guardian angel on 2 wheels. Ahead of them, the sun was setting, painting the sky in purples and golds. And Lily Morrison, the girl in the video, the author, the advocate, the symbol, closed her eyes and let herself rest. She'd earned it. She'd earned everything. The worst day of her life had become the first day of her purpose. The word meant to break her had become the foundation of her strength. The boy who'd tried to destroy her had become someone trying to heal others. And the bikers who'd crossed a parking lot to help a stranger had become family. Not bad for a girl with 1 arm. Not bad at all. The truck disappeared over the horizon, carrying a mechanic, his daughter, and a story that would echo through generations. This wasn't an ending. This was a beginning. And Lily Morrison was ready for whatever came next, because she was exactly who she was supposed to be. 1 hand, whole heart, unbreakable soul.